I just realised I feel like I look like a prisoner today. Yeah.
You look great.
Good.
You look great. I like are those album covers behind you?
Yeah, they're I had like a collection of like 5, and they all just fell off the wall. So now I've just got 2 left. We chose them it was on my wedding. We chose the ones from my wife came down the aisle to the first dance. We had a kind of
oh, that's lovely.
I know, just Al Green and Billie Holiday.
Great choice.
I like your plant.
Thanks.
Oh yeah.
Thank you. And then I have that's from Calm with Horses.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. An amazing poster artist, Chris Barnes, made it and sent it to me. So I was like, all right, because I always see directors with all their films behind them. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna put something on.
I interviewed on Zoom. I did an interview with Spike Lee, and it was just this sort of like wall of just gold behind him, of just kind of like just all of his platinum, kind of all the different awards and everything he's ever won. Just so I was like, yeah, that's not bad. Beats mine. But I'm going to be in, because I watched Raise My Walls, and it's an incredible feat of like TV. I couldn't quite believe what I was kind of watching, but I was wondering about just your character and how if you could just tell us a little bit about your character and how she fits into this world.
Yeah, so I play Sue, who's actually introduced into the story as Mary. She's part of the atheist army. She's a medic, and basically her and her husband, played by Travis Fimmel, basically undergo like a plastic surgery in order to pose as one of the Mithraic people. And so back on Earth, there's a war kind of that has taken place between the atheist army and the Mithraic army, who are this highly religious colony. And yeah, in order to survive and to get off of Earth, which is undergoing mass kind of destruction, and they have to pose as the Mithraics and get onto this ark that then takes them basically across the galaxy to this virgin planet known as Kepler 22b, which we're met with the main protagonists of the story, mother and father, who are there kind of going through their own struggles of being parents to these human children that they're trying to raise and create a colony of their own. And so when we land, there's clashes.
Because obviously, I mean, you're working with Ridley Scott on this. I mean, when it comes to stories like the one you're describing, you couldn't ask for a better person to be at the kind of helm of it. And when you're on set working with Ridley, do you have moments in your mind where you're like, oh my bloody hell, that's Ridley Scott? Or do you have to kind of put all of that to one side, be professional, just treat them like a kind of just an equal and a colleague, and then when you get back to the hotel room at night, is it then like,
yeah, it was definitely that. There wasn't a moment where I wasn't going, holy cow, I'm on a Ridley Scott television production and there he is and he's giving me direction. Like growing up, like Alien was the first horror film that I was introduced to by my dad as a kid, and so that was like a pivotal moment, I think, for me as an actor. So yeah, when I was on set, I couldn't stop smiling. And my character's meant to be this real badass, like absolute rebel, and then you're getting direction from Ridley Scott, and he's incredibly warm and he has an amazing energy. Like for a man who's in his 80s, like he has the most amount of energy on set, and you can just see his mind at work. It's truly like a fascinating thing to witness, because like on set he has like the Scott box, which is where he's literally filming and editing at the same time. So it's almost like a mechanics of his brain. So he immediately knows kind of like where to cut to out of a scene and where to cut in close. And by the time like we've shot the scene and he said come around to kind of video village and just take a quick look, they've already kind of edited the sequence. So it's like, I don't know how he does it. Like he's obviously, he's had the last 60 years experience, and but is so willing to like teach and like we went to dinner and he was just like a walking encyclopedia of like film knowledge, and he's just so keen to like have people listen and talk to, and it's yeah, it was like every night I was just like, I have no idea how I ended up here.
But he's incredible. And I've interviewed him, and just from the sort of 5 or 6 minutes I had, you can tell he's an incredibly generous person. I mean,
Yes.
I think he even gave me like a huge big exclusive, and at the end just kind of gave me like a little nod and a smile, as though just to say, yeah, you can have that one. He gave me the name of the was it when he was making Alien, the Covenant, where he called it, I can't remember what he called it originally. He gave me an exclusive for it. And I just remember thinking, what a bloody lovely bloke.
Yeah.
And he does seem like just one of those really, because I'm not saying that we need to think that people that are in the industry for that long and are that successful should be on this kind of pedestal, but he just seems like he sort of gets sort of stuck in and kind of really digs in deep with the rest of the cast and crew.
Yeah, he still portrays the energy of, I say, a film student who's working on their first film, and the passion is still there. And I think that's why he is so good at what he does, because he carries that passion from project to project. And when he's on one, he's already thinking of the next, but still, as you know, still giving the project that he's on at the moment the most amount of energy. And yeah, like he was a huge fan of Aaron, the writer Aaron Guzikowski, and I think the script came to really at a perfect time, and this was something they'd never read before, and especially that it was going to be made for TV, he knew was probably going to be something quite special.
Is it one of the great joys of being an actor, is this kind of the adapting to the directors' different ways of working? Because obviously you've worked with, Shane Meadows, who is famously collaborative with his actors and gives them so much freedom. And then you get some directors who have a really meticulous way of working, where they want everything to be exactly as it was written on page. But is that one of the kind of enjoyable aspects, is kind of working with different people and having to adapt to the way they work, and I guess learning new skills yourself along the way?
Yeah, well, I always look at it as like an actor is kind of like an elastic band. So between projects, you always have to be quite flexible, and so that when you get onto set, if you're a band, you don't want to snap because you're not used to, I suppose, like opening up to new ideas. And a director's view on a set, I suppose, is only their own. So they don't go from set to set, whereas actors do. We're there to take on, I suppose, like new direction and the new ways of working, and that's, I find that really interesting. It keeps it fresh. But it's weird because it was like there was huge similarities between Shane and Ridley. Like Ridley just creates the space and he just lets the actors go and play, and he doesn't over talk between scenes. He just kind of reminds you of obviously the main beats to hit, but is completely open to what you're going to do. And I think he loves that. He loves when he loves to see actors do something with the script that he hadn't anticipated.
Because you mentioned the word play, and I was going to ask you about that, because obviously, on The Virtues and in Calm with Horses and stuff, they're very gritty, quite realistic kind of things. But when you're on a set like this, which is really, does it just enhance that notion of make-believe, which I guess in some ways is what many kids want when they want to grow up and be a kind of actor or an actress? Is that in some ways, does it tap into that childlike quality for you, because you're there with all the kind of costumes and all the kind of big sets and stuff like that? And does it almost make you think about the kind of inherent thing that got you into acting in the first place, that kind of the world of make-believe?
Yeah, there's a huge part of that. We're kind of actors are just like kids that really haven't grown up, and there's something really fascinating. Like I've got nieces and nephews, and you see kids playing, especially now because they're so fascinated by like the Marvel characters, when they're pretending to be the Hulk or Batman, they're convinced that they're completely committed to what they're doing. And I think that's it. As an actor, you just have to completely commit and then embrace. And yeah, we're definitely just like kids who haven't grown up.
Because your character, she's incredibly resourceful. She certainly knows what it takes to survive. And I'm not comparing the recent months, the kind of lockdown and stuff to what the character had to go through. But in the same way, there has been a kind of resilience we've had to kind of really adjust to. We've really had to, there's a real kind of, we have to get through this spirit that the whole kind of world is currently kind of going through. I just wondered if you ever find yourself thinking of your character, or just as a rule of thumb, do you ever find yourself ever sort of wondering what would she do in this instance, or how, do you ever sort of feel that you ever subconsciously borrow traits from people you embody?
Yeah, I think I definitely. My mum is an incredibly resilient woman. Like I think I always when I'm envisioning like a strong female, I'm always thinking of my mum and how she raised like 5 of us and worked 2 jobs. And yeah, there's definitely things where you take influence from people, especially in your life. But with Sue, like that was the one thing that Ridley kept on just reminding me of, is that she is a soldier, and she's not a soldier in present day, she's a soldier in the future. So you kind of have to strip back any of, say, the obstacles that women, I suppose, are facing now, and kind of bring brand new layers to that. But deep down, there is still those motherly instincts when she takes Paul into her life, and there's a brand new strength that she finds within that. But yeah, like I love playing this character of Sue. She is hard as nails, but also quite vulnerable and flawed. And I think that there's that for me is that I find the most interesting, is trying to find the flaws in people and what it is that kind of drives them.
Yeah, you've actually, I was thinking just now when you're saying that, you've explored kind of motherhood in quite interesting ways, haven't you, in some of your characters that we've seen? Because in very different ways. But is that, what do you think it is that sort of attracts you to that kind of thing? Because I guess, yeah, your characters you've often had children, and if not children, there's the whole mother and offspring relationship and dynamic has been quite integral to some of your characters that you've played.
Yeah, I don't know what that is, but like for the Dina character, and I suppose that this character, they have their almost like their little cub, and I always just imagine that they are like wolves, and like I always kind of base my character on an animal, and given them kind of grounding animalistic qualities. And I suppose for Sue, she is like a wolf, and Paul is a little cub, and if anything kind of comes between her and her cub, like she'll go through them. So I don't know, it's like, you know, mothers are fascinating. Just the whole idea of what your body goes through during childbirth, and how resilient and strong the mechanics of women are. It's just it is incredibly fascinating. And I love how Aaron explores motherhood in the story, and especially family.
So would you say, well, so you always try and you always try, when you play a character, you always think of an animal that they...
Yeah, I give them like a spirit animal.
Okay. Right. Yeah. So who was it? What was it for Calm with Horses?
She was a lion.
A lion?
Dina in The Virtues, she was a fox, because she was quite feral.
Yeah.
And Raised by Wolves, I just Sue was a wolf.
Yeah, is that something you just sort of came to yourself, or was that a sort of technique that you'd heard someone else had done before?
I think I might have heard it from someone else that done it, and then I probably just stole it from someone else. Like we always do actors.
I'm going to start watching stuff and start trying to see.
Yeah, it should be like cat qualities.
Every time I see you and something, go, I think this one, yeah. But I was wondering too about this. I just wondered about the kind of sets as well. We sort of mentioned the kind of high production quality. What was it like being on that shoot? And when you watch it back now, is it almost quite sad to see? Because I guess, does that remind you of a time when there was, because obviously life before COVID feels so far removed from now. When you watch this, do you see all of the extras and all of the people and remember all of the kind of cast and crew? Does it almost feel quite weird and surreal to picture it? Because obviously when you watch it, does it take you back to that time?
Yeah, whenever now I'm watching films where people are really close, or especially when people start touching their face with their hands, you're just like, oh my god, we're so what's going to happen? We're not used to that. And it's almost like you're telling people, don't do it, don't touch each other. But like on set on this, like we had hundreds of crew, a huge cast. So yeah, it was like a village. It was definitely, it was like a small village that made this television series. And I suppose it's the idea now of, we have to adapt in order to, you know, keep safe. So they're just going to have to, like, I'm imagining, because I'm just about to start filming a new TV series with Channel 4. So everyone's kind of working in pods. So I don't know how, you know, going forward, like big, large crowd scenes, like I was watching it behind the scenes of the new Christopher Nolan movie, and in like that opera scene, it was like actual thousands of extras, and I just don't know if that's going to be the case now because of of COVID. But you know what I mean? Like filmmakers are incredibly intuitive and adaptable, so they're going to come up with, I think, very safe, interesting ways to still create that.
Yeah, because I was reading that in like soap operas at the moment, if there's like a scene where, sort of an intimate scene where two characters are kissing, they've asked the actors or actresses to get their spouses in for real life to come in and be like be a body double.
Oh wow!
I know. But
that'd be interesting. Spouses, you're gonna be like, sorry, what?
Yeah, I know. I'm a lawyer. What do you mean?
Yeah, so this is what you do. Interesting.
But I was wondering, when you're on a kind of big set like this, do you try and take any kind of bits of memorabilia, or what I'm trying to say, did you nick anything from set?
I might have. I might have taken my Mithraic necklace. So costume don't know that, so I have it. I have it in my wardrobe. But then we got these. No, we didn't. So Martin, who was in the art department, he made us these amazing t-shirts.
Oh wow!
They're like, that's gonna be backwards because it's on, but it's Pray Saul.
Yeah.
And yeah, but like the costumes, yeah, that was the one thing I took from the costume. But as the series goes on, you'll see why I took that.
But do you always take something like a little bit of memorabilia? Not necessarily take like steel, but do you always just try and take some sort of emblem or souvenir, I suppose, from your experience?
Yeah, I do. I'm a collector. From the Virtues, I took Dina's jacket that she completes that awful deed in, and in this I took the necklace. And
from Karma Forces, you've just got Cosmo Jarvis downstairs in the.
I kidnapped Cosmo Jarvis. People are wondering where he is, and I have him.
There we go.
Yeah. I don't actually know what I took from. I didn't. I always, do you know what I always do? And it's like a thing I started on my very first job. I get the front page of the script of each of the shooting scripts, and I get everyone to sign it.
Oh, that's really cool.
I get 2 copies, so I give one to the director and I keep one. So that was really special. Coming home after shooting Raised by Wolves, I had like Ridley Scott on the front of it. It was mad. I had a little cry on the plane coming home.
I mean, this feels like a really exciting time for you at the moment in your career. Is that something you've been able to kind of take a step back yet and gone, oh my God, because it's all been this last couple of years have been so big for you, and you've been in so many great projects and had such a wealth of great characters that you've played, and it seems like you've got lots of really exciting projects on the way. Have you had a moment yet to kind of step back and go, bloody hell? Or is it something that you just kind of in the zone and it just kind of happens all too quickly to acknowledge as it goes?
It was definitely, I was kind of going from one project to the next over the last couple of years, and I didn't really digest any of it until my parents came to visit me on the set of Calm with Horses, and I was in this really, really beautiful apartment near the waterfront, and my dad were just kind of sitting out on the balcony, and he said to me, he was like, I really wish your granddad was here kind of to see how well you've done. And I think it was only then I kind of took into account the, being on a production directed and produced by Ridley. And my dad, I think, acknowledging that, not saying that he didn't beforehand, it was just that it was a very, very special moment. I think it was like, that was a very reflective moment of kind of what had happened, and The Virtues was screening in the UK that week as well. So to get the amazing response both critically and publicly from that show was quite just overwhelming.
Yeah, because when I've sort of spoken to you, I always get a sense from talking to you that you've got a very close bond with your family, and you're very much kind of grounded and and I just wondered if you've had over this past year when we've all been kind of locked down and stuff, have you had the chance to get home and see your family much, or have you been quite removed?
Yeah, I did. I went home for the lockdown and I moved in. Me and my sister moved back in together for 3 months. She's a vet, so she was, she didn't stop working, she'd keep continuing on. And it was actually funny because the last time spend any time with her was before I went over to shoot Raised by Wolves. And because my character was a medic, I spent two weeks kind of shadowing her and seeing her do, because it was a point where like Sue was doing like a surgery. And so I was like, oh God, I'm gonna have to learn how to like cut into flesh and stitch things up. So she gave me a toilet roll, and then the utensils, like the stitching utensils, and she taught me how to stitch using toilet roll. Never going near an animal, of course, because I'm an actor. So that was really fun. But yeah, I spent about 3-4 months back in Ireland, and just catching up with my mum and dad and my nieces and nephews that I missed kind of growing up. So they're, you know, all around 3-4 years old. I have a lot of energy and a lot of questions.
That must be quite nice, because I guess with your job you're always kind of traveling and spending a few months here and a few months there. So I mean, obviously the last few months have been difficult for many people, but has it been quite a nice breather for you in some ways to just have a bit of a, because I guess, because like you said, you've been from job to job, is it almost, despite the fact obviously it's good to be busy, have you quite enjoyed a bit of time off?
I definitely did. I realized that I can't sit still very long. So that was a thing that I had to learn how to to do, and find other ways to creatively fulfill that part of my brain. So like everyone, you know, I bought a ukulele, tried to learn that. And I did actually, but I also, it nearly caused my sister to murder me in my sleep with it. So I had to like find moments to try and practice when she wasn't in the house. But it was also an amazing time to catch up on like TV and film that I didn't have kind of time to watch during film, and you can also just watch it with, and not at the back of your mind thinking, oh gosh, I have to learn lines or read that script. So that was nice. But yeah, I'm definitely, I don't know, I'm probably like undiagnosed ADHD. I'm like constantly having to like do about 20 things at the one time.
I'm just pleased you followed through with the ukulele thing, because I wrote down when lockdown started, I wrote down learn piano, and I haven't even brought a piano or own a piano or a keyboard or anything. So I didn't even do the first step, which is actually obtaining the instrument that I wanted to learn. So I failed on that front. But my sort of final question really was just about kind of future projects and stuff, because I know you mentioned you're going back, but the job with Guy Richie, has that all been shot, or is that all in...
We're all done.
Oh nice. So because obviously talking earlier about kind of adapting to different filmmakers and stuff, how was Guy Richie to work with? Just another huge filmmaker to add to your growing list.
Yeah, that film came up when I literally just left Cape Town, and I was on a feature film up in Leeds called Censor with Film 4, and then went straight on to Guy's film. And he's like like a 12-year-old with the budget for, you know, massive movies. So it's like him and Jason Statham, both best mates, just making action movies, and it's a lovely thing to be a part of, because there's a very, like, it's very fun and playful environment to be on. Like, it was so much action in it that, like, I thought like Raised by Wolves had action, and this is just on a different level. And yeah, just me and Josh Hartnett messing around in like with guns and in the back of, you know, big trucks and driving around LA. So that was nuts.
Yeah, that's one way to spend a summer. Yeah, that sounds nice. Yeah. So what is, just very final question was what is kind of coming up? Have you got much in the pipeline? Any projects that might have been paused before lockdown that you're hoping to resume when? Well,
yeah. So I'm the lead in this new Channel 4 series called My Name Is Lizzie.
You play Lizzie then?
I am Lizzie. Yeah. So it's actually a true life crime drama. So it's the first time I'll be playing a factual character. So that's we're starting filming in a week. So I better start learning lines. And yeah, and Raised by Wolves has been greenlit for season 2, which is really exciting. So I'm interested to see what's gonna happen. But yeah, so far the response from audiences has been incredible.
Yeah, it must be quite fun when you do a big TV series, because I guess your fate and your characters, it's all at the hand of in the hands of the writers. So you'll just have to sit there, and when you get that script through, you're probably going to be as excited to find out what happens to us as we will when we want to watch it.
Like, honestly, we were getting the scripts in for Raised by Wolves, and none of us could have predicted what was going to happen next. Like, Aaron's brain is nuts. Like, you think you open like one door and you're like, oh, I kind of know what's going on here, and then you realize, by the way, there's another door, and it's so different, and like the things that he thinks up is extraordinary.
Well, I can't wait to see it. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Niamh. It's always a pleasure speaking to you.
Stefan.
Hopefully, the next time it will be in person again, because I'm just so bored of my bedroom. I just need to get out. I need to get back into Soho.
I miss people.
Yes, but I've got a puppy here at the moment, so that's like my main thing. So it's been quite hard to.
What puppy have you got?
The Labradoodle. Do you want to see it? Should I get her? Do you want to
Yeah,
see
get him, please. Get him, please. Oh, this is amazing. This is my best interview yet.
I've been wanting to show her to someone. Here she is. There she. This is
stop!
you can't see her eyes, but she's.
She is gorgeous. What's her name?
Minnie.
Minnie.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys.
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey